everybody, and welcome to Boogie on Down, Grooving with AI Digital Tools. I am Deena Pardon. I am a digital learning specialist with Pitt County Schools. This is my third year in this position, and I am a former fourth grade math and science teacher for 18 years. I am married to a brewer, and we have a 5-year-old who is just starting kindergarten this year. At NC Bold, we are sharing out our third-party tools disclaimer this year. If you would like to take a moment and pause this video so that you can read over the disclaimer. As you know, North Carolina switched to the ISTE standards for our digital learning competencies a few years ago. So if you would like to take a moment now and pause the video as well so that you can read over how this session meets the educators, educational leaders, and coaching competencies. So the purpose of this session overall is for you to be able to explore some practical applications of digital innovation to be able to enhance your instructional practices and create some engaging learning environments. Overall, I want you to come out of this session with some tools and resources so that you can leverage cutting-edge technologies to elevate teaching and unlock new levels of student engagement and achievement. A great way to always start a session, especially if you're going to be working with a group of adults or even students, is a dice breaker. If you've never done a dice breaker, the way this works is you can create groups of however many you need depending on the size of your whole group, and you can either display the questions, or I like to tape the questions onto a die and then have them roll the die and answer the question. If you ever need some ideas, there is a link here for a roll a die discussion if you want to get a little bit more into kind of some content areas, but it's just a great way to be up and moving and being able to kind of break the ice with the group that you're working with. So for today's session, Boogie on Down, if you are interested in being able to jot down your thoughts as you're going through this session, if you click on this image right here, it will take you to a forced copy of this right here. So this is the think sheet that will go with today's session. So we are going to be boogieing on down now with some digital tools. So if you will, click on our dancing minion here, and this will take you to our tools that we are going to be exploring today. So if you will, on the next slide, go through and spend about 8 minutes exploring the resources that are on this next slide. So if we go to our next one, you can see our resources. Our quiz is AI. So notice it is AI, not just quiz is normal. We also have CurryPod, Diffit, Magic School, Question Well, and Quizalize. So there is a short little blurb here that tells you what each of these resources are. And then if you want to be able to dig in a little deeper, if you click on the More Info button, this will take you to some information where you can actually read about these resources. So what is Quizzes and how to use it with your students? You can read this article. Or if you're a podcast person, and note this one is a pretty long podcast, 22 minutes, the sequel, Leveraging Quizzes AI for Assessment and Insights. Or if you're a video person, AI Tools for Schools, Quizzes AI. But then there's also some Explore resources over here where if you want to dig in a little deeper or maybe actually experience a Quizzes yourself, this gives you those options. When you're finished kind of reviewing over this, you can click back to the menu and then do the same thing for the next resources. So if you will pause the video now, and again, take about 8-ish minutes to go through and just kind of dig into these resources and see which piques your interest. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your time exploring those resources. So what I would like for you to do now is pick one resource that really stood out to you, the one that you feel will benefit you the most in your position. And I would like for you to Work on creating a product using that resource. Maybe think about an upcoming lesson you have and you want to kind of revamp it a little bit. See how you can use that resource to up your game. If you are in the sharing mood, because we know in education, sharing is caring, there is a link here to a Google Doc. And if you open this Google Doc, you will see all of the different resources and you can share on this bank of resources. So if you create something with Quizzes AI and you are willing to share, please add it to this spreadsheet here. If you created something with CurryPod, we can see here somebody from middle school, high school did a resource on the digestive system. So go ahead and add anything that you feel comfortable sharing out. So take about 15 minutes, more or less, depending on how you're feeling, and go ahead and start applying what you have learned for your recess. So if you'll go ahead and pause the video now while you work on playing and digging into your actual resource. Welcome back again. So I hope you enjoyed time really digging into your resource and have some great ideas about how you can use that resource. Now, you probably only picked one to really focus on. So again, we know sharing is caring. So if you click on our I want to share my idea guy here, this is going to open up a Canva whiteboard. So if you will, on this Canva whiteboard, grab an empty sticky note. It could be one of the ones that's already on the screen, or it can be one that's around, or you can add one if they're all filled up. And if you will, add next to whatever your resource is here about how you could best utilize that resource in your position. The more ideas we have, the more sparks we'll have to grow. So if you'll pause the video and take a moment and add a sticky note of ideas on how to best utilize your resource. So, a little debrief. In a live session of this, these are some areas that we would have focused on making sure as we're going through sessions that we're usually starting with that inclusion activity so we can draw our participants in. We always like to give choice about how we're going to maybe do an assignment or take in the information for our assignment. Collaboration, we know, is always key. When you're in a classroom, it's always great to have that movement as well. And we want to have that balance of tech and non-tech, especially with our kids that are just so computer heavy these days. It's great having that little break from the computer as well. So as you end this session today, I want you to just take a couple seconds and think about a takeaway from today. Something that really stood out to you. It could be an idea that you saw on the Canva whiteboard, or maybe something you shared with somebody after participating in this, something you read, something you viewed, but something that you want to take away and walk out the door and use in your classroom or in your job role immediately. My goal for you is to be able to take that takeaway, and you may not have a shoulder buddy right now, but somebody in your building, maybe somebody on your team or in another grade level or in another position, that you can say, hey, I just learned about this resource and I want to share it with you. So that's my goal, is for you to be able to share that resource with someone. And hopefully we can keep spreading the resources and spreading the knowledge. So thank you for joining me today with Boogie on Down, Grooving with AI Digital Tools. If you have any questions or have any comments, my email is back at the beginning of this presentation. Thank you and have a fabulous day.